Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about Layne Staley and Alice in Chains and trying to develop a sound like that. If that's something you're interested in, everybody shut up! We're going to sing stuff. All right. So, talked about this before. I usually, I receive a lot of really wonderful compliments and comments and things, and I want to thank everybody for that. If you have not noticed, I'm giving just a wealth of information of years and years of studying these things for free here. And I'm not really asking anybody to buy, a T-shirt or a course or anything like that. Not yet. But I do ask people, if you want to join me on Patreon to support me, that's amazing. But either way, I do sometimes get some negative comments, and sometimes they're hilarious, and I will share one with you now because it has to do with the last Alice in Chains thing I put up about developing a voice similar to Layne's, or trying to get into some of those stylistic choices. The person's comment was that they basically watched the whole video and they said, "I disagree." So I've been teaching for 13 years, people all over the world. And I've been studying this stuff for about 16 years. And that doesn't even count with all the time I was singing before I even knew what the hell I was doing. But that's kind of, to me, funny. And the reason I bring it up is because it's kind of like going on YouTube and being like, how do I build a garage? And then you watch the whole video of how to lay a concrete foundation and how to build framing and how to put the roof on and all this stuff. Watching the whole video and then just typing, nuh-uh, and then just going away. So if you don't resonate with what I'm saying, or you just don't dig my vibe, just watch another video. There's so many videos to watch, but I thought that one was particularly funny. I do not completely sound like Layne Staley. I don't care about that. I can get closer probably than some people, but the information is the same across the board. And the cool thing about today's lesson is that I'm going to be helping you take it further than that, meaning we're not going to just talk about I Stay Away, which is what I'm going to talk about today, but we're going to be taking it further than that to try to adapt the voice and push it further and not just have it locked into like, this is that song, this is how to sing that song with this type of voice, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to try to take it further than that. So anyway, as we get into this first, I'm going to be moving through things quickly. If something I said doesn't make sense, please know that I have lots and lots of lesson videos on here. If I mention something and you're like, he didn't talk about that doesn't make sense, then, try to find other videos on it. Open throat technique, mixed voice, distortion, compression, airflow, diaphragmatic support, so many things. So, but like I said, I'm going to move kind of quickly as to give more advanced students more of a kind of idea and just kind of make this into a practice instead of a big, long, how do you do everything lesson. Make sense? So let me turn a fan on so I'm not just sitting here sweating through the whole lesson. But like I said, we're talking about I Stay Away. And we're talking about Layne Staley's voice, so we're talking about compression, we're talking about a little bit of distortion, and we're talking about kind of pushing into these things and getting some powerful sounds out of this. This is going to be pushing you probably up through your typical bridge if you're a male. If you're females following along that are inspired by this stuff, you're probably going to have an easier time with it, but you're still going to be working with the same fundamentals. And as I start moving the song up a key, up a key, up a key, it's going to get harder for everybody, including myself. But that's kind of the goal here. And the goal with moving the song and not just staying locked into one thing is that we want to make sure that we're not just building a wall with our distortion, with our compression, with our mixed voice, with whatever, where we're topping out and that's it. We're just like, ah, and we just can't go any higher, because that usually is a sign that you're dominating an area too hard, pushing too hard, too much volume, too much this or that, and you're not keeping your throat open enough. So I like to practice things and understand how it works across the entire spectrum of the voice, from high to low, not just from this particular area. Now, lastly, before we get into this, I understand that there's personal choice involved in this. If you don't want to have any of your head voice kicking in and you think that sucks and you just want to learn how to sing the way he did and in a box or whatever, that's great too, man. Stick with whatever works for you. But I like to, again, work on the whole voice as a whole, open throat, keeping the voice open, etc., so that you can sing across the spectrum. And lastly, no, it does not make a better song if you can sing across 4 octaves or 5 octaves. A good song is a good song for a lot of reasons, not because somebody went and sang this whole big range. So keep that in mind in terms of personal choice too. do what you feel, is right. But again, this is going to be an exercise. It's going to be a practice. So practice along. Everybody shut up. Okay, here we go. So we're working on I Stay Away. I'll put up the lyrics for that. It is in C sharp. Hey, I'm gonna wear down the fair. Make sense? So, we're going to be kind of following along with some of the parts, but I'm mostly probably going to be focusing on I Stay Away and singing that part and kind of getting some power into that and then moving it higher and higher. So first of all, when we talk about Layne Staley's voice, we talk about, people don't often think about it, like a kind of a nasally, bratty, kind of pharyngeal sound. Uh-oh, I said bratty. People are going to click off. But if I go, yeah, I have this kind of nasal sound that's coming through. And what you're really hearing there is a connection to my diaphragm and my placement, which that placement is moving backwards. Again, get to know where you're sitting in the mouth. The further you push your voice back, the closer you're going to be to natural distortion that works well for you. So by just becoming pharyngeal, you're already compressing a little bit, you're already kind of collecting the sound, and you're going to be closer to that distortion that we're trying to achieve. Again, your range might be higher or lower than mine, probably more likely higher. So again, your distortion might show up in different ways, but keep like I said, keep working on these different things the way I'm going to be explaining them, and you will surely goddamn find it at some point. So anyway, let's start off doing a couple scales, just getting to know and paying attention to that balance. You don't have to push hard, but that balance, that line between here, and here, so again, we can use ENG, UNG, and I'm making it like as we go higher, that collection funneled feeling you're feeling right there, hopefully by about here or a little bit higher. You should feel a funnel, circular type of feeling that's leading you up behind the soft palate. If you feel like you're falling out of that, you're pushing and dominating too much muscle group stuff down here, and pay attention to your placement. If it's falling, it's not being allowed to funnel itself back there. We're only going to be continuing to funnel our voice up into that space. So get to know what that feels like, because as we go higher, luckily, we just stay in that pocket and continue to rise. If we're falling forward, again, just keep paying attention. Don't want to dominate this too much, push too much air, too much pressure, and fall out of that place. Pay attention to it on the way down. Try maybe pushing a little bit harder. I'll show you the difference. Keep the head down. A little bit louder from the diaphragm. Two more. Now, I'm going to be lifting in the back there where my soft palate is and trying to pick up a little bit of this distortion. As I was explaining this to some students here recently last week, I had a lot of students last week. I want you to imagine where your voice is, where that funnel effect is. Right behind that is distortion. It's going to feel, this is so stupid, and I'm sorry, but it's going to feel like there's a bee that's sitting right there. You can hear me going, every time I do that, just ever so slightly, even if it's subtle for you right now, today, maybe a week from now, that's right there. Distortion is hanging out right there. If you go down through an R, we're going to drop down into the false chords. R, and that's good. That does some things for us, but we're going to try to find upper palate distortion, which is Do you hear that? Again, sometimes it's subtle, but we're not going to try to dive right into it. Yeah! But it's just going to be right there. So anyway, get to know that. Pay attention to your placement, lifting in the back. and it really feels like something that's kind of taking your nasality, takes your soft palate, and it's kind of lifting all of it up into this nasal, and it feels like all this stuff's kind of doing a dance of resonance up into the nasal cavity and that soft palate where your uvula hangs down. That's where we're trying to find most of this distortion. Don't dominate it. Don't push into it too hard. But right here, we're going to try to do that on the same kind of scales. Again, we don't need more support. We just need to kind of keep thinking about it backwards, keeping the head down, starting from the same place. Hear it just a little bit. You can also embellish how vertical you're being with the jaw. So you're not doing anything with the jaw or the face. Now, up higher, we can try this really quickly in like something like a head voice. And you hear my voice is doing different things depending on how warmed up I am or how much I'm not or whatever, hydration, phlegm, etc. But let's try to do something playful. Have this on head voice. And I'm going to try to grab a hold of head voice. And I'm going to try to put this baby sound through it. Like this, and I'm going to see if I can pull a little bit of upper palate distortion up there. Playfully, like I said, experimental. If it doesn't work for you, I'm not going to stay here long. So I'm so you hear I'm just, again, try to playfully make cartoony noises, see if I can find a little bit of that feeling back there as we start to become aware of it and feel it a little bit. Hopefully that'll guide us the next day into where it is and how to find it so we can get better and better at, okay, I'm going to distort now, I'm going to jump into this. Now, let's get into this song. If we're here. So we're already right between my physical bridge and that last note. Hey, hey. Wanna travel south this year. Now, a lot of times where people think there is distortion, happens all the time with Led Zeppelin and cover songs. People are distorting the shit out of the note. But really try to pay attention. A lot of times there's vocal doubles, so you can't really tell. Or you just think, you perceive it to be more intense than it is. So you would want to practice this one of two ways, which is trying to get a little bit of distortion, maybe a little bit heavier, and then trying to clean it up. If you have to do it distorted, that's no bueno. You should not have to be forced to be distorted. So come back to clean and then try to, again, think about the bumblebee back there. We're going to be going, and we're just trying to touch it. Again, if distortion doesn't work that great for you today, don't keep trying to dominate it and go heavier and heavier. Try to go with a little bit of that texture and just notice where it is and try again the next day or try later in the day to find a little bit more of it. But again, distortion doesn't completely show up perfectly heavy one day. You know, it usually kind of evolves a little bit. So those are the first notes. So if we're going to do it like this, we don't have to go, yeah, hey, yeah, but it does help us keep us nasal. But let's go with mums. Ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 ma. Ah. You hear me sitting right in that space. So let's take it down a little bit. Ma, ma, ma. Ah. Ooh, that feel real good. You gotta make yourself laugh. How about a little bit lower? Mama. Mama, 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 mama. You hear me entering into that pocket and staying back there? I'll show you again the difference. Hey, hey, is me immediately right here in the front of the face, falling forward. So keeping the head down again to loosen these muscles and not have them get as involved. Let's come back up and put the words into it. Yeah, hey, yeah. I wanna travel south this year. South this year. No, won't prevent safe passage here. So now I had a nice little bit of upper distortion there, and it was pretty much compressed and working well, meaning and everything's collected in that funnel. Make sense? I can try to clean it up. Oh, yeah, hey, yeah. I want to travel south this year. Do you hear how, even when I'm kind of clean, how the intensity is still coming across? That intensity comes across because of kind of just compression and holding back that air. So again, sometimes when you think there's there's just there's the holding back of breath. So again, try it a couple more times. Yeah. Or let's try the second line. I won't. Or slow it down. I won't prevent safe passage here. All right, ready? We're going to go on to the second part. Hopefully some of that makes sense. This part, you can playfully try to get more into distortion, even though that's not there in the song. I don't even know how much grit there is in this part of the song, but it's a great chesty kind of zone to keep playing with that sound and this funnel and this nasality. Sorry, 8 before this. So, why you are crazy not and act maybe so close our ladyship, they are shady. You hear how bratty and just kind of sitting in that. Again, if you're still just learning nasality, maybe yours is a little bit brighter and a little bit more confined. That would be like this. Why you are crazy not. But the difference there you're hearing in the first one and the second one is there I'm still a little bit more in speaking voice. I'm not allowing myself to connect as much to this line and get out of the way. So I had more going on here. And you can tell because I'm making this face. The first one is, why? It's nice and vertical. I'm trying to get my jaw out of the way. So keep that in mind as you practice it. But like I said, try different versions of this here. Why you are crazy not. And really getting that distortion in there because it's a more comfortable place than when you start getting up higher. Now, in order to not make this lesson too long, let's start doing some of these I stay aways. So it would be I stay away. Now that was me in regular kind of voice without compressing. And I'll mention that here really quick because maybe you're new to mixed voice or some of this stuff. And we're going to see if we can do this. But the important thing, again, is learning how to stay open enough so that we can continue to rise from the note and not get stuck at I. Because, again, if you listen to me, you're going to be able to tell if I'm in the funnel, if I'm pulling back, or if I'm falling forward. Right there was I stay away. If that's what you sound like, ain't no funnel going on there, man. And there's no nasality. That's me dominating my throat and everything falling forward, and it kind of hurts my voice a little bit, which is a great thing to keep doing during these lessons. So there's that. I like this, and you can tell. Look at your face in the mirror. Look at your face in the screen, and see if you have this, this whole thing going on, and these muscles tensing up. I like this. In the back, or I. So either way, if we just do straight mix. I'm just crying into the sound there that's holding me together. Not really going to find distortion from that, but I still can sing like that with more of a standard mix that's not as compressed. My eyes stay away. Does that make sense? See if you can try to do that. And then we're going to go back to this, this more holding back, compressed thing. And I'm going to sing it sometimes so that I can, sometimes here over and over so I can shut up and you can hear it. So if we have more of the standard song, I stay away. Does that sound good? Can you follow me with that? Can you get into that space? Can we do it clean? I stay away. Ah! Can you hear me lift up in the back to get a little more of that distortion? Ah! Ah! Once again, placement. A little bit further back, a little bit farther forward for clean. Just touching the B, bro. So, if you can follow me with that, let's do the last chorus. The last chorus is repeated 4 times. He moves around a little bit. Not too much more difficult, but again, keeping in mind that if you're dominating a little bit too much, going a little too heavy, you're going to start cramping up like this, and you're not going to be able to lift, and that's where we're going after this. We're going to start lifting and making it harder and harder. So we have... I keep forgetting the damn notes. I stay away. So we have... I stay away. I stay away. I stay away. I stay away. Right? Now, as I did that, I could already feel in some ways that my voice kind of wants to grab onto that, wants to be heavier. And I can tell I'm right at a precipice. So I'm straight up in chest, and my voice just wants to stay there, wants to kind of be heavier and dominate it more and lock in more. And that's fine. That's great. Again, though, it's going to cut me off from head voice. I'm not letting any head voice in. I'm trying, by being pharyngeal, to let some of this in, but I'm really down here, right? You can hear it. So this is a half step higher. So let's try this. And I'm going to start backing off the pressure. If I have to go back to clean, that's fine. But I'm going to start trying to bring head voice into this and allow myself that grace, that gentleness of kind of easing up a little bit so that I can make sure I'm not just going straight out of the face. Things are falling too much so I can go higher. So this would be, I stay away, stay. Oh, you hear that? Oh, you hear a little bit of that oh in there. That's me letting head voice in. Similar sound, but we're going to keep, like I said, we're going to keep taking this up. See if you can do that with me. I stay away. I stay away. I stay away. Really pay attention to A. That brings the jaw in, brings the lower jaw. It brings a lot of things. It's going to try to drop you down and lock you into this placement down here again. This coordination. I stay away. We want to be able to lift up. Let's go higher. Keep easing up. I'm going to show you an easier version of this. Trying to ease up on it a little bit so we can keep lifting. I stay away. I stay away. So that's me holding the breath I need to get it, compressing to get there, but again, I'm not going heavy with it. If I try, I can do that too, but again, we're going to start petering out here if I keep doing this in every kind of note, but I'm trying to show the different versions. But we can still do it there, and I can rely on that, but now let's try to dig into it a little bit more again. I stay away. How about up here? I stay away. I stay away. So now you can hear the distortion starting to dissipate, and I'm starting to get a little bit further up in head so far that I can't really have that same bitchy kind of bratty distortion on there, and that's fine. That's to be expected, and that's to be understood. As you go higher and higher, it's probably going to clean itself up a little bit. We might be able to bring the false chords back in, but then we're going to start to get into 80s scream territory. Ow! That kind of thing, which is false chords coming back in. You'll hear Chris Cornell do some stuff like that. Ow! But that's, again, that's false chords at the same time. So get that shit out of the way. I don't know if this is as high as we went or if we went higher than this, but let's keep trying to take it a couple steps higher. Just try to follow along. Again, if you're just going to make the sound small, that's great. If you can still go full ham on it, then try to give me the ham, bro. I stay away. I stay away. Let's jump the whole way up here to a high C. Not easy. And I might not sound that great by now, but there it is. Whew. All right, ready? Let's make it small first. I stay away. I stay Do you now notice how I'm more exclusively in head voice? I'm still compressed. I'm not deciding to be in head voice. I'm mixing. I'm doing it with compression as much power as I kind of can get. But if you notice, we're crossed the threshold, so I can't try to dominate this in chest anymore. I have to let myself be up here and then try to compress into that and mix into that. There's a lot of cry. There's a lot of these things happening. But let's try to add some stank into that if I can. And again, I hope you got something out of this and it wasn't just, mindlessly watching me make weird sounds and be like, this guy, I don't even know what to take away from this shit. I disagree. Anyway, here, one more thing. I stay away. I stay away. Do you hear how that's working? Last one. What's the last note? I stay away. So you hear, there's a lot of holding on going on there, but we still got some stank. Still got some ham, the ham and the stank. It's going to be my next album. If you have questions, I can try to answer. If you want to join me on Patreon, I'm trying to teach over there more than over here with all the free lessons. But again, hopefully you took something away from this. That pharyngeal funnel pocket stuff I'm talking about is so very important, and it definitely really helps to guide people up through mixed voice, through protecting their voice, through distortion, things like that. Because every time you get into this place where you're just kind of falling forward and your entire physicality changes, where you're like this as you go higher, it's going to be doing a disservice to you and your voice and probably the listener, because it's going to start sounding worse and worse. And again, the irony is that kind of intensity that you think people are adding is backwards. It's not that more intensity like this where we're getting louder and it's fucking falling out of the face and everything's getting to a shouty point. We're actually, again, ironically holding things back, and that's what sounds intense. That's why it feels intense, because you're putting the voice still at kind of a breaking point in terms of pressure. But again, it's a much healthier breaking point than pushing even more over it than it can handle. So you can definitely put yourself at a precipice of not being able to hold back the pressure and pushing too much pressure. But remember, you can playfully do these things with and without support. I stay away. Is me doing that without really supporting. I is me supporting. And again, I'm just playfully trying to make some of these sounds and see what works and what sticks and what doesn't. So I'll see you guys soon with more lessons. Hopefully me sharing my joy and excitement about this kind of stuff translates and it gets you guys inspired to do things. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.